Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Squad Talk. That's right, man. We about to get into this today. Today, I sit down and have a dope conversation with Professor Robert and Coach Ceci. They both train and teach Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at the gym that I personally train myself, Victorium Athletics. If you're in the Antelope Valley area and you're looking to train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or Muay Thai, they teach Muay Thai there as well. Highly recommend going to Victorium Athletics, so make sure you check that out. They both have been training and teaching for a very long time. Professor Robert is a first degree black belt. If you're wondering why we're calling him professor, is because in the jiu-jitsu community, you refer to all black belts as professor, right? And Coach Ceci is a brown belt, so she also been training for a long time, and they both have been competing for a long time as well. And to make things even more interesting, they are married. That's right, so it adds for an interesting dynamic. So a real good conversation, good podcast, very much geared towards jiu-jitsu, and we don't normally have these kinds of episodes on this podcast. We're mostly geared towards the entertainment industry and entrepreneurship. However, in the year and a half to 2 years that I've been training on and off, I've come to realize that jiu-jitsu is very beneficial to you outside of the mat in the real world. And I'm not just referring to in a self-defense situation. I mean, just in everyday life, you know, it's a very physically demanding sport, but it also demands a lot of your brain, you know, a lot of your mind. It keeps you mentally sharp as well. So this transfers over to the real world, you know, and helping you just make better decisions. If you're a business owner, if you're in the entertainment industry, we're constantly dealing with deadlines and very very demanding clients in a lot of these situations. So I find that jiu-jitsu is very helpful for that. So I just wanted to bring them on the podcast, share that with the listeners, and hope that somebody might catch interest and start training themselves. All right, with that being said, let's get right into it. We talk about their background, how they both got into jiu-jitsu, how they met, and what it's like just training on the mat together, even though they're married, and pretty much, you know, the benefits of jiu-jitsu, right? So let's get into it, man. Squad Talk. It's your boy DJ Mav. Let's go. Squad. Professor Robert Martinez in the house. What's up? Welcome to the podcast.
Yo.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming in. It took a minute. It took a minute because scheduling, or you know, I think we were gonna have you come in one time and then something happened.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I told Mav we had made a deal. He had to do 2 no-gi classes in that 1 week for me to show up.
Oh, there it is. That's what happened. I didn't do it last time, so he couldn't come. If you're watching this on YouTube, you probably see his wife standing next to him. We're going to introduce her right now. Cece, also in the podcast. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
There it is. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
We're going to get into Cece's story as well in a couple of minutes. We're going to start off with Professor Robert here first. Professor Robert is a black belt, right?
First degree black belt.
First degree black belt. He's been training for how long exactly?
Going on 16 years.
16 years. That's a long time. And to be doing something.
More than half my life.
Yeah, there it is. How old are you?
25.
25. There it is. So he's been training for a long time. So why don't we get into how you got into jiu-jitsu and how that whole journey started for you?
Well, for me, my uncle was already the gym owner. I mean, he was a black belt before I started training jiu-jitsu and all. When I started jiu-jitsu, I was 7 years old. You know, before that, I wasn't really into any sports. Kind of quiet kid, didn't really do much. I mean, I'd play baseball, ride bikes, but that was pretty much it. Not really, you know, physical altercation type of sports, you know, like football or anything like getting hit. Mm-hmm. I never did any of that stuff. But my mom passed away at an early age. Mm-hmm. And for me, my aunt was like, we got to put this kid in something. At least twice a week, jiu-jitsu, while he's going to school, you know, to just keep him busy, keep his mind right, so I'm not doing nothing stupid. It was the first 7 years were the hardest years, right? You even know yourself, the first year is the hardest. Sometimes the first day is the hardest. I wasn't good in the beginning, but when I started at 7, it was just more like keep coming back. The warm-up sucked. I don't think I was even pulling off any technique. It was literally me getting tapped out by a girl and then come back the next day. Getting tapped out by a girl, come back the next day. So that was how I kind of got introduced and pulled into it. 2 days a week. And you're going to school. No ifs, ands, or but. And that was from my grandma, too, because she raised us. She brought us in. It was me and my brother. She pretty much was our mom, right? Like, our mom took us in. And it helped out a lot having her because, I mean, without a grandparent like that, then you're pretty much going to either foster homes, and
Right.
that could have been real bad for me. So having her, like, it really helped out a lot. And then my aunt, my uncle, bringing us into jiu-jitsu. I didn't like it in the beginning, but after a while, I kind of, like, stuck with it.
You didn't like it to the point where you're just like, I don't like it, but I'm doing it, or you really just didn't like it? You threw, some sort of
I was throwing a fit
or something, no, I really don't want to go, guys.
Yeah, it was pretty much like throwing a fit. Like, I honestly, 7 years old as a kid, I'd just rather be home playing with my friends.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go away from home and all the kids I'm already playing with to go to a gym and sit there for an hour and pretty much be disciplined and stuff like that. Because that's all it is, discipline first. Like, the self-defense you'll learn later, but for me, it was like, we got to figure out how to humble this kid, discipline him, because when he gets older and the path he already started going into could be real bad. Like, I could have been homeless. I could have been in the streets doing bad stuff. And just, having jiu-jitsu and making it my lifestyle, it really helped me, get good.
What was it like, because your uncle was the owner of the gym? Were they extra hard on you, or?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't feel like...
honestly, I felt like I was his son.
Okay.
And in that position, it's always going to be harder on you because we were held to, like, a high expectation. Being, whether we're the son of the instructor or the nephew of the instructor, we're always going to have the biggest target on our back. So for him, it wasn't like trying to get us good right away. It was like self-defense. Make sure these kids can defend themselves. Like, outside the gym, if somebody pushes them to the ground, he knows what to do. Instead of, like, a lot of guys, I mean, they're either trying to turn away from the fight or they just don't know what to do. So for me, it was just getting me ready for, I mean, he didn't know what jiu-jitsu was going to take me. He didn't know if I was going to compete. I didn't start competing, like I said, till the next 7 years into it. It was just me just, like, getting in shape, building confidence, and just getting out of my shell, because I was a really quiet person. Even before I met my wife, I was, I didn't talk to anybody besides my family. I was afraid, just kind of in my shell type of person. Like, kids in the lunch, the ones that go and hide in their classroom while everybody's out there eating, that was me in the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, It was not like I can interact with everybody. Like, it took me a while. Even at, like, before I think I turned into, like, 16, I got my blue belt and I started turning into an adult. Like, that's when I really started to see those changes. So, like, it was just, like, time.
So what was it that made you want to start competing after those 7 years?
Well, after 7 years of doing it, I mean, rolling with the same people, eventually, like, okay, what's next? Like, I'm not beating everybody here, but I know what I'm doing. Like, I can't just go on the street and practice my moves. I can't go do that because then I'll get arrested, and you never know what happens after that. For me, it was like, okay, the next thing is competition. So going out there competing, it just, that right there took me to the next level. I think competing really will test your limits on how far you can go and how far you're willing to go.
Was your uncle persistent about having you compete, or he was kind of like, as long as you train, you don't have to compete?
Yeah, that was it. It was as long as I train, it was nothing else. It was just more just getting in the door, training, doing the hours, putting in the time. He, like I said, he never thought I was going to compete. It was like, if this kid competes, great. But if he doesn't, I'll be okay with that too.
When you started competing, man, talk about that journey. What was that like?
Oh, man. When I started competing, I was 14. I did my first tournament, lost it. I won my first match. My second match, I lost to a kid that was just really good. Like, if you looked him up, he had belts, medals. Like, he was legit. He was probably, like, the highest white belt. And then me going in the tournament, brand new white belt. Yeah, I had the 7 years experience, but I don't think the experience really kicked in to, like, those last maybe year and a half. Like, that other years were just me just going with the flow. Like I said, I didn't like it until I was, like, 14. I was like, okay, I wanted to compete. I want to start taking this serious. Now I got to really, like, train hard, drill hard, and be ready to have that mindset for when I compete. First one didn't go my way. I mean, I looked pretty good, but the guy caught me in an armbar, like, literally in 1 minute, and I was just like, damn, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should just stick to staying in the gym, not competing. But Uncle's like, just go back to training, train hard. I honestly don't think my next tournament was until next year.
So you had like a whole year to
train. Whole year to train, prepare. Now I know what to expect. Like, I know how real it gets out there, and it really helped me because, I mean, before that, I felt like while I was doing jiu-jitsu, I kind of became a bully in a way because I was, like, not so humble, but the competition really humbled me.
So you were a bully in the gym or, like, outside of school?
Like, kind of outside at the gym. Like, I mean, like any kid is, even if they are in martial arts, some of them are bullies. bullies going into it. Me, I wasn't, but I think my head, my confidence, my ego kind of got the best of me. So while I'm around my friends, I'm like looked at as the toughest kid. So like I kind of abused that power in a way. And then once I came back to the gym, it was those guys just kind of re-humbling me, redisciplining me. And then the switch for like from middle school, I think, to high school is when I really was like, okay, I got to change the way I act because I'm not the biggest kid or the oldest kid. Now I'm going into high school with like seniors, juniors that are way bigger than me. So like I can't just go pick fights with people. And I mean, that's the whole martial art thing is respect, honor, discipline. I wasn't doing any of that in the beginning. I literally had to be
So were
humble.
you actually getting into fights at school?
Not
because
really.
of your confidence?
Yeah, I think, I don't think it really got me in fights because a lot of people just, I mean, they look at me and they're just like, yeah, that's not we don't want to mess with that guy. But there were some people that just didn't care. One guy slapped me in the back of the head early in the morning. I kind of got up and was like, hey, if you touch me one more time, dude, see what happens. And this kid touched me one more time, punched him once, threw him in a headlock. He turned around, suplexed him, put him on his back, knee on belly, and just kind of started hitting him. And that was just kind of natural reaction, like fight or flight.
Yeah.
And I really fought back. So that doing that was like, okay, I'm a weapon. I can't be doing this to every kid, even if somebody does punch me, because I can be on the bad end of the whole thing. Even if I didn't start it, I can be the one getting press charges on, or the worst thing that can happen to me is like expelled.
You know what that reminds me of? Have you seen that video that went viral a couple years ago? It's like two kids, one bigger kid, one skinnier, smaller kid. And then he's just like, the video starts off with, it's a really short video, starts off with the bigger kid pushing the little kid. He drops his backpack.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I remember that one.
Like, he gives him the 1-2 punch and takes him down, puts him in an arm bar. That's some epic shit you don't see most kids doing.
You don't, man. Because everybody thinks the bigger guy is always going to win. But, I mean, if that small kid knows just enough to put him down on the ground, it doesn't matter how big you are. When you're on the floor, you're on the floor.
What was your family's reaction when you began into fights?
For my grandma, it was like, hey, did you win? And I was like, yeah, all right, you can go ahead and go back to sleep. And I was suspended for like 1 week. So, I mean, I'm Mexican. My grandparents are Mexican. It was always like, you're going to have to stand up for yourself one day or the other. And as long as you're not the one on the other end, like, it's okay. As long as I'm not the one that starts it either. It's like those other guys that just want to pick on the kid that's just kind of to himself. Like me, I felt like I wasn't really like a jock. I wasn't really hanging out. I was kind of hanging out with every group. Like I was with everybody. Everybody liked me. I hung out with everybody. But there was always those one kids like, let me go test that guy. He might be a jiu-jitsu guy, but he probably can't fight.
That's interesting you say that about grandma asking if you won. Because when I got into my first fight, my mom would always tell me I was pretty small for my age. And she would always tell me, if you get into a fight because you were defending yourself, I'll take you to get a Happy Meal. So we used to live in an apartment complex, and I got in a fight with this kid because we were like skating, and I don't know, he was just being a real dick. So I got in a fight with him. And then the first thing I did after the fight was over, my dad was in the parking lot changing the brakes to the family van. I ran up to him. I was like, Dad, I just got in a fight. Can we go to McDonald's? And then he was like, what? Go tell your mom. And I went in there and I told her. And then she's all like, you got in a fight? And I was like, with who? Pablito? And she's like, oh. Sure enough, the mom came knocking on the door and stuff. It was funny. But anyways, I got my McDonald's.
Hey,
so
there
that's
you
all
go.
good. That's
there
all that matters. But, you know, talking about this, and it's all funny and stuff, but what do you guys think about parents that say, I don't want to put my kids in anything like that because I don't want to promote violence?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
So shout out to Mr. Jiu Jitsu, right? Follow him on Instagram. He'll tell you everything you don't want to hear from me. But he'll say, do your kids, when they ask you, or when they say, I don't want to brush my teeth, you're like, all right, go to bed. Nah, you make him brush his teeth, right? You make him learn how to brush or tie his shoes. You teach him how to dress himself. Self-defense. You got to teach those kids.
Even if the parents think that they're going to be promoting.
You get up for work. Hey, you got to get up for work. You got to get that money, right? You got to teach a kid how to defend yourself. We're not always going to be there.
Because I've heard that a lot, you know, just saying, oh, you know, I'd rather put my kid in basketball because I feel like I'm going to promote self-defense, you know. I mean, promote violence.
Yeah, which is nothing wrong. I mean, you want to put him in those sports. Like, if that kid looks like he could be a good football player, put him in it. But what's happening during the off season when you're not doing basketball, you're not doing baseball, you have that 2-3 months off, you can go jump into some jiu-jitsu and at least learn the self-defense. I mean, I don't expect anybody to compete. Like me, I didn't compete, like I said, the first 7 years. It was more just, how is this kid going to react to being pushed? How is he going to react to somebody putting his head in a weird headlock? Because, I mean, a lot of the headlocks that you see in the streets are grabbing them, squeezing their head, and if the person doesn't know how to get out of that, that can be real bad for them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for me, it's just keeping them aware because, I mean, especially right now, COVID and kids staying at home, that doesn't stop people from trying to steal your shit. Like, they're going to go in your house while your kids are home. And for me, like, if I had my kids and I'm getting choked out, I hope those other kids, my son, can at least get this guy off me or kick him or put him in a rear naked choke so I can get up and then do what I have to do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just making sure the whole family fights. Like, for me, it was my aunt, my uncle, they're black belts. My cousin's a black belt. I'm a black belt. My brother's a black belt. We go anywhere we go. We go to Havasu, Laughlin, anywhere, Nevada, Arizona. We know that if we get into something, everybody's going to jump in. And everybody knows how to fight, too. Because everybody's going to be like, oh, I can fight. But when shit hit the fans and where are your friends at, the ones that don't know how to fight, they're going to run real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting, man. That's a badass family right there.
Oh, yeah, man.
You guys are pretty hardcore. I'm assuming you guys, when you go out, you're not worried about anybody. You can protect yourself, obviously, but you guys probably, because I know you guys carry yourself, you're very humble.
Yeah, like you doesn't even look like I train jiu-jitsu.
I mean, just when you take your headphones off, it does. But
yeah, if you see the ears, then you know, okay, this guy does something.
By the way, does that affect hear loss? Like,
it just depends on where it's at. Like where mine's at, if you can see, mine's right there on the ear. This is not going to affect the hearing, right? But on the inside, if you get cauliflower on the inside, it can swell up pretty bad and cover up that ear canal, and then you're not wearing no headphones. You're wearing these ones right here. You're not wearing nothing that goes in the ears.
Dang, that's crazy. I gotta get some headgear.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like it. I mean, it can be like, oh, that guy's too soft. He wants to wear headgear. I mean, it just all depends on what your job is. Like, if you're a real estate agent, you can't be having these ears. Like, it's going to be hard to sell a house. I just seen her shake
her head. She said no to headgear. What is that?
You're on the mat. You ain't going to be wearing headgear when you're training anywhere else. Or on the streets, right? On the streets.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But let me just say this. I don't really want to wear headgear. I feel like it's inconvenient. It's probably going to be extra hot. It's gonna get sticky. I don't know, but let me just explain my situation. I'm an audio engineer. I mix music for a living. Like my ears pay my bills. Yep. So if I lose my hearing, I can't work. So I'm really worried. That's a genuine concern for me.
Oh yeah.
If I start losing my hearing, and I'm turning in these projects to my clients, and they're like, "Yo, this sounds like shit. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, it sounds great, bro."
Yeah, no.
I don't know, man. So I'm kind of worried about that.
That's why I respect guys like you coming out here, because I mean, you know what you're risking going into jiu-jitsu. I mean, it could be a knee or an elbow that hits you just clean on the ear, and you just hear ringing for a while. Like,
yeah, I'm super careful with that. When I'm the weirdo that is in the club with earplugs.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, just because I gotta protect my babies.
Yeah, you got to.
Know what I'm saying?
That's what makes the money.
So when you see me on the mat with a headgear, you know why?
I recommend the headgear if you already got the cauliflower. Like once you first get it, like the early stages, it blows up. Pus, blood, and it's just real soft. You're gonna have to drain it. Throw the headgears on, because if you don't wear the headgear after you drain it, it's gonna re-blow up again. Like me, all I had to do, I drained it, thought I was good, wore the headgear, went running in the morning, and my ear just started throbbing, and it blew right back up to where it was. I was like, fuck, now I gotta drain it again. So then I had to wear headgear for like 2 months just so I can let the scar tissue build up, get it nice and hard. I mean, those right there are like badges of honor right there. So
yeah, they seem pretty cool, to be honest. But all right, so let's talk more about your competing. When you're kind of getting out of high school, where are you in your your jiu-jitsu journey?
Well, when I was in high school, I think I was like a blue belt, and then on my senior year, I think I was going towards the purple belt.
And were you competing pretty hardcore at that point?
At that level, I was already competing. Yeah, I was competing hard. I was trying to hit tournaments like every other month, just trying to stay sharp, ready to go, because you never know. I mean, for me, competition was, compete, you'll get better. But me being out there competing, the nerves that you're going to feel are the same nerves you're going to feel in the street fight. Without the punches and the kicks, you're going to feel nervous. The butterflies are going to hit you. And for a lot of guys, I feel like going out there and competing is going to help you overcome that.
Yeah.
Because that's the closest thing to a street fight, going out there in a jiu-jitsu tournament. And if you haven't experienced that, I want you guys to go do that so you guys can feel that. So when you go into a street fight, it's nothing really different, but besides the guy trying to punch back and kick back, I mean, you're going to be able to overcome the butterflies, the doubts in your head, and all the things like that.
I haven't competed yet, but I'm just trying to get my feet on the mat. All right, I'm still hurting on the mat, if you know what I'm saying. So
it ain't easy, especially the way you're training. I mean, you're training like 2 times a day, sometimes twice a week. You might hit it 3 times a week, once each day.
Yeah, it was tough, man. Like when I first got into it, it was before COVID. I was traveling a lot for work, doing shows and stuff, and I would come in and I would train. There was times when I trained like twice a month.
Yeah.
Because I was only home for a couple of days. I'm going to go in there and train, and I'd get my ass kicked. And I go home feeling worse about myself than I did when I got there. And then I'm on the road watching a bunch of YouTube videos. But, I can't. Sometimes it's just a different type of job, So I'm taking advantage right now.
And you can't always physically be there. But if like what you were doing, having your mind on jiu-jitsu while you're not there, it's going to keep it in your head.
Yeah.
While you're not doing it. I mean, maybe you can grab some of your guys on the studio and
I've tried that so many times, man. I've tried that so many times. It's funny. I just stopped, man, after a while because I feel like I got pretty annoying to my friends. But I actually bought my buddy Fresh like a couple of weeks worth of classes over at Victorium, and he went once. I was like, this is ridiculous, man. But
yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, he loves it. He was just making some excuses. Cece, so let's talk about you, man. How it is before we get into the love connection, how you guys met. Let's talk about you and how you got into jiu-jitsu.
So, funny thing, I've actually been on the mat since I was 8. I just wasn't with jiu-jitsu. My dad, he's a super huge martial art enthusiast, right? But he grew up with the Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan. So we grew up with the whole VHS collection, watching them. And so, of course, when we moved to Lancaster, he was like, hey, you guys are doing something. And that first something was Taekwondo for me. So I actually did Taekwondo for a few years till I was about maybe 13, middle school. And then middle school, I did some boxing, some old school boxing with Al, rest in peace. He taught me a lot, old school boxing, cutting angles. So then I was like, all right, what else can I do? I got these kicks. I figured out the boxing. Let's throw some Muay Thai in there. So I tried messing with some Muay Thai, but I was doing boxing for a couple of years. It was boring to me. I was like, no, I want straight hands, So my boxing coach left, and I was like, all right, I need to find a new gym. My sister was actually training at a gym called Chemo's Fight Factory. If any of you guys know, then hey. They were the OGs 10 years ago. So I tried checking out boxing there, and they were doing something in the mat, and I was like, what the hell are they doing? And I was like, they look like they're doing some type of wrestling. And I was like, nah, that's not for me. I'm going to stick to my boxing, my striking. And then one day I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. Why not? I figured out how to kick, figured out how to throw some elbows, some pretty punches, all that stuff, right? Let's figure out how to do it on the ground. I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was. Clueless. But I will tell you, there was someone that caught my interest, and I joined jiu-jitsu for the wrong reasons. I'll tell you the first one. I joined jiu-jitsu for the wrong reasons. There was a cute boy.
Oh.
Hey, that cute boy's not him, and he's not here, but jiu-jitsu is still here. 10 years later, here I am. My journey isn't as steady. I did jiu-jitsu. I started when I was 14. I was a freshman in high school. I did it through maybe junior year, on and off. I tried wrestling at AV, graduated, tried getting a job, tried training. Wasn't in it for me, so I enlisted. I actually enlisted in the Marine Corps for 5 years. And during my enlistment, I was already a blue belt. So we do some type of martial art training. It gets to the point.
Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu is really my advantage when I was enlisted. It was my... I represented jiu-jitsu well. And I say that with confidence because you see me. I'm 5'2", 5'2 and a half. I'm about 140, 130, on a good day. And, they're guys, bigger than you guys, tall guys that carry that rank and feel full of ego. They're trying to teach me combatics. All right, good. Let me teach you something. But, you know, they don't want to take it. They don't take it as well. So, but they take the ass beating well, you know what I'm
Hey.
saying? So that
Drop
really
a bomb on that one.
Shout out to those staff and SEALs. What's up? But for real, it really helped me a lot. You know, it helped me build my confidence in a man-dominated world. It really was. So, you know, I had my stressors, but I really used jiu-jitsu as a coping mechanism to deal with stress, you know, deal with my own shit. So, you know, on the mat, it's just, hey, I'm here for myself. I'm here for my training partners. I just want to roll. And it was a good escape. It was hard training, you know. I was stationed. I didn't have a steady gym, so I was a blue belt for about 7 years. I had no problem. I kept that blue belt. I actually met Robert when I was a blue belt, when we were about 15. So when he met me when I was 20, he's like, yo, what the fuck? You're still a blue belt? What the fuck? And I was just like, yo, funny story about that.
Oh, that's funny.
You see, life happens, you know.
I gotta tell you guys, life happens sometimes.
It does happen.
Life will take you one way, then now you're back at it again.
But here, I kept training, you know. I wasn't consistent, but I was consistent in trying to train. I had the benefit of training in Mississippi. When I was stationed in Japan, I competed in Japan. I was actually in Okinawa, and I was really able to embrace the culture of judo and really remember what jiu-jitsu was, that honor, discipline, and respect, you know? So it really brought me back to, you know what, I wasn't really training because I was like, you know what, I was getting smashed. I'm tired of getting smashed. And then I see these little kids at these tournament freaking judo coral belts teaching. I was like, damn, those coral belts, they're easily 60 years old. What the fuck's my excuse? So I fucking started training. I was getting smashed, but hey, I learned getting smashed. Self-defense, bro. I learned how to fucking recover and survive getting smashed from bigger dudes. That's as real as it's gonna get, you know?
Yeah.
And I've got my bruises, I've gotten my injuries, but I'm still here. I was able to, I got lost track.
No cauliflower yet, though.
No cauliflower ear, but hey, you know what?
Build a frame and
Don't
defend those
hate.
ears.
Don't hate. I got pretty ears. But,
I mean, I'm sure that's good for you, though, right? Do you want cauliflower?
you know, it is what it is.
Okay.
It is what it is.
I feel it.
I'm not going to pay the money to not get it, you know what I'm saying? But I actually, when I was stationed in Japan, all I had was jiu-jitsu, you know, and my friends that I was stationed with, and that's where I reconnected with this one when we were 20.
So going back on your story, you guys originally met when you were 15.
So we met.
How did that happen?
Tournament,
I'll
jiu-jitsu
tell
tournaments.
I'll tell a story. Okay, so Robert wasn't lying. He was a shy boy. I was about 15, 16. I was working the tournaments, getting my, you know, just getting out there, trying to figure out what it is. And I was working the bullpen, so I call out the fighters and I tell them to what mat they're gonna fight on. And I met his little brother sooner, but his little brother is like brown hair, green eyes, fair skin. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, damn, who the hell is this? Robert Martinez. And I'm calling Robert Martinez. And I'm like, yo, this guy's not answering. I'm about to DQ him. Like, and they're like, no, it's Alan's brother. He looks just like Alan. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go look for Alan. I'm looking again for those green eyes, brown eyes, fair skin. I see this guy, and I'm like, they don't look like Alan. Why are you guys
Brown
lying?
eyes, brown skin, brown hair.
Like, this isn't Alan. And they're like, that's Alan's brother. And I was like, what the fuck? Sure, whatever. That was the first time we saw.
Introduction right there.
And then I was like, so, you know, where you from? What's your name? That motherfucker was focused on just training. He was just there, beat sign. He's like, I'm just training. I was like, getting the win. I'm just like, all right, dude, whatever. I'll try again later. I'll see you next tournament. But, you know, he was shy. He didn't even want to talk to me, you know, like, hey, how are you? Oh,
I was trying to ignore the whole time.
Was this because you were nervous about, you know, the competition, or you were just kind of like lacking in the ladies department when it came to having a conversation?
I was lacking in the ladies department. I won't lie.
Okay,
that's why I made sure I could fight.
Okay,
so if anyone does talk shit, I can defend myself there.
Right. Okay,
but I knew I had to overcome that one day, and the jiu-jitsu helped me a lot.
It did.
With the
You know,
parents,
it took a couple
kids.
of years, but it took him when he got his brown belt.
Hey, just like
too.
jiu-jitsu, it takes time.
It did take time, but here we are, you know.
Years later, when you were 20, let's talk about that. How did you guys reconnect again? Was that at a tournament?
No, I was actually on my way out. I was stationed in Okinawa, and I was in the middle of like deciding if I really wanted to make this, you know, a career. And I was like, yeah, I don't fucking know. You know, let me just. I'll still stick around. You know, let's send me somewhere else. So I texted this fool and I was like, so what's going on? What's up? You know, I'm gonna be home in December. You want to go out on a date? What's going on? You know,
Dang, she made the first move.
Shot my shot.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, actually, that's appropriate.
Wait. No, it's not appropriate. You want to know why?
I meant to hit the bomb, but that came out.
Wait, have that finger stand by.
All right.
He didn't show up.
What? I got the sound effect for that. Hold on. You really didn't show up?
Didn't show up, man.
Oh, man.
He flaked on me. He was like, I got to train. I got to teach class. And I was like, all right, whatever. I just flew for fucking Japan.
100 excuses.
Just trying to figure out how to fucking drive over there without a driver's license. Like,
Dang.
no problem, big guy. It's cool. I'm not going to sweat it.
Okay, I'm a little confused in the storyline real quick. You guys met when you were 15. How did you already have his number? How did you text him?
Instagram, Twitter, the wonderful thing about the internet, man.
So when you guys met when you were 15, he didn't really want to talk to you much, but you guys traded social media?
Yeah.
Or you found him through his brother on social media?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I just remember
We talked through Twitter.
through Twitter.
Okay, all right, for sure. All right, interesting. Dang, so he stood you up.
He did, yeah. We were fucking 18. We were 18 at that time. Or 19. One of those.
Asked my sister for some money for the date, and I just took it and spent it on some food for myself.
His sister.
He went to have a date for himself.
His sister still to this fucking day is like, what? He didn't fucking go?
Where's my money at?
No, bitch, he didn't show up. Asking for that money.
Wow. So what was your thought process, man? Like, you didn't want to go just because you were nervous? Or
Well, that was a big part of it, being nervous and just
He was shy.
super shy.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I was ready to go in my head, but then when that moment came, I was just like, oh, fuck. 1,000 excuses come up, and I just kind of turned.
It's like competing, right? You gotta. The hardest part is getting out there.
Right.
You never asked a girl out, so.
Yeah, you
like,
know that
this girl asked me out. Well, that's not how I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
That's a rubber band. My bad.
That's crazy because you know, there is a thing called approach anxiety. You know, you're out at a bar, you're at a club, you're at a party, whatever, grocery store. You know, some guys get kind of nervous and anxiety about approaching a girl and just kind of talking to her or whatever. So that's a real thing that most guys in this world have experienced. But the one thing that most guys have not experienced is getting the jitters before going into a competition. But I can almost bet that they're kind of similar.
In a way,
you know,
yeah.
you feel you don't want to do it.
It's
You're just like, but then you got to do it. You just got to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, and the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Well, at least for approaching. I don't know about the other one.
Hey, for me, it was not just that too. It was hard because I didn't have a dad, nobody to show me the ropes. He was in and out of jail when I was 7, 8, 9, all the way till now. I don't know where he's at now. My mom passed away. Being raised by your grandparents, they're not going to teach you how to hit on girls and all that stuff. I had my uncles and stuff, but I'm the one having to pull the trigger. And I was a little gun shy in the beginning, but hey, look where we're at now.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Stick to it, right?
All right. So eventually you guys finally went on a date, obviously.
The second time.
We finally went on a date, and
Did you approach her after a while again for the second date, or did you try again, Cece?
I shot my shot, bro.
Again. Kobe.
Yeah, I did. Hey, I fucking trapped him the second time. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, there it is. There it is.
That was my biggest worry.
She was just like, man, I need to get a man that trains. So she kept trying.
It's funny. Yeah, I guess it works out.
Yeah.
He compliments me very well. You know, we're very opposite. If you get to know us, you know, we're very opposite, but our attitudes are very similar in a way, if that makes any sense. He's very small, like not soft-spoken, but he's very just
Mellow
to himself, you know. And if you're around me, you're gonna see that I'm the complete opposite. And it's crazy because I was never like this. So
Thank the military for that.
thank the military and thank this food too, because honestly, like once I decided to get out the military, you know, because the military was a rough time for me. And honestly, jiu-jitsu was my little safe haven. Any jiu-jitsu gym I was able to go to, all right, hey, I want to sign up. I just want a mat. I just want mat. I want bodies. I'm going to figure it out, you know? So that really benefited me because I was able to focus and really prioritize jiu-jitsu in my life. And it was kind of like it was my safe haven, like I said.
Yeah.
So, and then having this guy too, eventually once, you know, we started getting a little bit more serious and we started taking each other more serious, it really benefited our training because we had the hardest time freaking listening to one another. I had the hardest time listening to him. You know, at the time I was a purple belt. He was just a newly promoted black belt. And I was like, no, I couldn't see him as my professor. I couldn't see him as my coach or my instructor. I saw him as my boyfriend / fiance / husband. You know what I'm saying? So it was really hard for me to take away that mental block and really allow myself to learn from him. So once that blockage was gone, I blossomed, dude. I was able to do technique more fluently, yes. And I was just piecing it together. My mind shift, my mentality is one of the hardest things that I struggle with when I'm on the mat because it's like, I'm pretty sure you've experienced it when you just get smashed and you're just like, what the fuck am I coming here for? Like, you know, like I'm coming here to get fucked up and
you're paying for it too.
I'm paying for this big guy to just sit on me and I'm paying to just take it. Like, what the fuck? But it's like, it comes to a point where like, all right, why the fuck am I still getting smashed? Why aren't I learning? I should be learning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you got to check yourself. You got to reassess yourself. Okay, like why aren't I progressing?
Mm-hmm.
And when I checked myself, it's because I didn't want to fucking listen to this guy.
Yeah.
Once I was humbled myself, checked my ego, I was like, all right, let's get going.
On the mat, it was professor. Then afterwards,
Dude,
it was husband.
It was the hardest time.
And a lot of families, I'm sure, that do the same thing we're doing. Is the same way.
And I'm sure it's the same. When you're on the mat with your parent or your sister or some type of authoritative figure, I'm sure it's going to be hard to just take that constructive criticism or that, hey, you need to do this instead. Or no, maybe you should try this. It's going to be hard to take it because you're going to look at them and be like, you're going to think about everything else they told you, every other emotion they've made you feel, except for, hey, you know what? You actually have knowledge and experience in this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that is lacking. Let me take something from you.
So would you guys say that two people that have never trained jiu-jitsu in their life and they're a couple, it would benefit their relationship if they both signed up and trained? Or not really?
It depends.
It depends on their personalities.
There's some couples that can make it work. There's some couples that are like, hey, I'm training at this time, you're training at this time. And when I'm on there, I want you to fuck out the gym. I haven't met those type of couples, but you know what I'm saying? It's probably out there.
Yeah.
And it's...
That's crazy because with me and my girlfriend, like when we go to the gym together, like just a regular gym, like we go our separate ways. We don't work out together.
That's how we were too.
Yeah, that's how we were. Yeah, that's probably how
that's
it'd be.
not jiu-jitsu. That was just like going to the gym, lifting weights.
Yeah, that was
and
just
cardio.
our own thing. Because obviously we don't work out the same.
Which is our logic as well. It's like we have different things we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go.
But that same mentality is applicable to jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying?
So
What works for you doesn't work for your girlfriend.
Oh, okay. I get what
works
you're
for
saying.
the same mobility, the same capabilities, or excuse me, not capability, that's a bad word. The same movements or...
Like she's not going to hit 2 pounds or two plates on each side. What you're doing, she's not going to do the same thing. She's probably going to do less weight, lunges, other reps, and things like that.
So what can somebody do to get their partner to train? It happens, right? The guy is really excited about it. He wants to get the girl in, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, how can you get your partner to be interested in this?
The best way to do it is to have them come watch. You can talk to them about it, try to push them on the mat, but if you get them to go watch you do the class, it might spark interest. Because we've had a lot of new people come in recently, and husband will come in or boyfriend, they'll train, and then they'll see her rolling with her sister-in-law, and they're laughing the whole time while they're trying to submit each other and tap each other out. And she was like, you know what? If those two girls can do it and they're having fun, I think I can do it too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because when I bring it up, the first thing anybody says, not just my girlfriend, anybody, oh, you just want me to get my ass kicked. You want to see me get my ass kicked.
How to
it's
not
like
get your ass kicked.
so
bro.
many
I'm doing
people
this for you.
Yeah, so many people think when they go to a gym like that, there's people that are literally trying to hurt them, and they're really like, they picture like a bunch of UFC guys just socking each other in the face, when it's really not like that. It's just it's really
jiu-jitsu is a gentle art.
Yeah,
something you can do, and you can do it again the next day.
Mm-hmm.
As if you're doing any type of striking, you get hit, punch, you're taking the next day off or the next week off. Jiu-jitsu, as long as nothing pops, nothing gets injured, you're either right back in there the next day or the following day.
Right. Well, unless you're Drew. Right?
Unless you're Drew and you want to take on all the black belts first day.
We're just messing with him, man. All right, let's talk about how jiu-jitsu has can help people out of the mat. Like everyday people that don't necessarily want to train and pursue like a career in fighting, but they just train, and how that can help them with their day-to-day. What are some of those benefits?
Want to hit this one first for me?
I could go. So again, I mentioned jiu-jitsu was really my outlet, my safe haven when I was enlisted. It was my de-stressor, you know. A lot of people go running, a lot of people weight lift, scrapbooking, any other hobby, but really there's nothing that's really going to give you the full workaround. With jiu-jitsu, you're doing mobility, you're doing strength, you're doing cardio, you're doing almost Pilates, you know. You're working your brain, mentally working. You're going to reach a point in your jiu-jitsu where you're like, okay, strategically think while you're getting smashed by this 200-pound guy. Right now, it's like, what? How are you going to do that? Well, experience, just keep coming. Eventually, you're going to freaking figure out, like, man, I can use both my hands and my hips at the same time? What the fuck? You know? And it's like little stuff like that, like,
I think pressure. The biggest thing is pressure.
Oh, I got off topic. I'm so sorry.
Pressure. Anybody, whatever type of job you do, there's always going to be pressure. This job right here, working with weights, like carrying stuff on your shoulders, even things behind the desk. I mean, things can get frustrating, a lot of pressure, and you just got to like learn to relax, think, and then move. Some people just move without thinking, and I think jiu-jitsu helps, like, really let you know, like, hey, you got to sit, chill out, think about it, and then go. And I think you can carry that on over to anything. I mean, if you think about it before you do something, it's probably going to come out a lot better than if you just did it without thinking about it. You already felt the pressure of a knee on belly. You've already felt the pressure of a mount. So you know what to expect if someone puts you in that position too.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big one right there. Personally, for me, I felt that for me. Like, I noticed, well, at least I try to be like, well, you know what? You know, if I could be uncomfortable here and I can try to think, like, let me try to use this thinking in the outside world. You know, and I try to mellow out more, and I try to not get frustrated so quick, too, because I get pretty frustrated sometimes. So,
Drew.
Yeah. So I get, you know, so it's helped me out with that. And I thought that was really interesting.
And then confidence, too. I mean, a lot of people aren't confident in themselves, and jiu-jitsu will make you confident as long as you keep sticking to it.
Or vice versa, humble. Right? Some people might be really confident, and then they step on the mat, they've never trained before, and then they get taken
overconfident.
They get taken out by a guy that looks like Zach.
Oh, my favorite part is when you get those
smaller guy
weightlifting dudes, and they just come and they think they're just the hottest shit on the mat, and then they get mopped up.
Jiu-jitsu won't work on me.
And then they just sit there and they think about it, and I'm like, yeah, bitch, think about it. Like,
hey, weights don't fight back.
Weights don't fight back, you know?
That's so good. Look into the camera and say that, man. Weights don't fight
back. I fight back.
And why jiu-jitsu is so big? Because, I mean, what made jiu-jitsu big? The small guy beating the big guy.
Oh.
If you watch UFC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before the rules came out, it was a jiu-jitsu guy, Hoist Gracie, beating up big guys in the middle, small guys, closing the distance, throwing his strikes, doing jiu-jitsu.
Speaking of fighting, man, how do you guys feel about all the exhibition fights that have been going on?
I like it.
Yeah?
There's not so many tournaments, a lot of COVID restrictions, people moving their tournaments. But these super fights are good for jiu-jitsu. I mean, keeping the jiu-jitsu alive while there is no tournaments going on, a lot of super fights, keeping people training. Because it's very easy to get off track. Like when COVID first hit, I'm pretty sure everybody gained about 10, 20 pounds. And there might have been a couple teams, like the real diehard ones, that never took a day off. They just kept their training real private and stuff.
Were you guys worried at all about that, about COVID and training? it's a very close contact sport.
Oh yeah, man. I was really worried. I mean, not for myself, but because I train a lot. When I get sick, I don't really get sick so much because I'm always around a lot of people and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just more worried about because I mean everybody is all the stuff they're saying on the news, Instagram, Facebook. You don't know where that stuff's coming from, if it's real, if it's not. So the first 2 months was like, we're still gonna train, but I'm gonna train with the people close to me that I live with. And thank God I have her. I have my sister-in-law and my other sister-in-law that we just trained with. It was like, instead of having a big circle, I just shrunk my circle smaller because I couldn't stop training. I mean, this is why I am where I'm at. If I stop training, I think it's very easy for me to just get off the path and go somewhere else within. COVID sucks, but we got to do what we got to do to keep the train moving forward.
Yeah.
Take the precautions and stuff.
Right on. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is the benefits for kids, right? You spoke about that before we got on, how much you wanted to promote this art for kids, and why is that exactly?
Well, first
we touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but let's get a little deeper into that.
Well, for first, adults, they're hard to get to. To bring an adult into jiu-jitsu, it's always very hard because either the ego gets in the way or maybe they just have no interest in a physical sport. They rather just be behind whatever they're doing and not get touched. But for kids, like if that parent doesn't want to do it and they got 3 kids, at least have your kids do it so they can learn from it and grow more than you could have grown if you would have took that chance too. But right now with all the COVID, kids staying at home, not doing much. I mean, yeah, they're probably doing PE at home, dribbling a ball right in front of the screen, but you're not getting your cardiovascular workout. You're not moving around. You're not pushing yourself because I honestly feel like with the COVID, the kids are going to just get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And they could be developing the confidence, their strength, and pushing themselves. Because, I mean, when they're stuck at home and you're just in this little box, it's very easy to just go crazy. A lot of us, they feel that, we have a lot of we break down. You're not doing what you usually do. Your routine's jacked up. You're staying at home. You're not working out. When all the gyms closed, Planet Fitness, 24-hour, all those gyms closed, and people didn't have weights at home. They were just doing nothing, just putting on weight.
Yeah, I remember you guys were, the gym, Victorian, was actually letting members borrow mats, right, to train at home, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah, we were letting at least 2 mats per household so that people can go on the mat. We did virtual training, so we would teach it from the gym, and then people from home can just copy what we're doing, going through the moves. I mean, it's a little hard, but it could be done.
Yeah.
If you want it to be done, it could be done.
It was better than not doing anything.
Yeah, because we could have not been doing nothing as instructors and just sitting there getting big and just not moving, because that's the worst thing you could do as a black belt, just not move and keep training.
In the future, what do you want to do with jiu-jitsu? You want to continue to teach, or do you want to pursue fighting professionally?
I want to pursue fighting, so this is going to be the year where I really start teaching less and just training more, because the fight game is nothing to mess around with. You got to be ready to go, ready to fight, take a shot, and then keep moving forward or whatever it is. This is going to be a different beast for me. I've been always around fighters, the weigh-ins, the fights, watching a lot of my friends fight and stuff. And I know I always wanted to do this, but the time wasn't right. Life happens. I got married. I moved to South Carolina. I was not with my team. I mean, I could have took a fight out there, but I just knew it wasn't the smart idea to fight under someone I don't really know as family. So for me, it was now I'm going to make that move, transfer, try to focus on my striking for the next couple years. So when it's time for me to make that debut, that I'm ready to go. It's going to be different, man. Real different than jiu-jitsu. But having that jiu-jitsu background is really going to help me in the MMA. Because guys that don't have that jiu-jitsu background, they're just MMA strikers and stuff. You already saw this last weekend what happened to Stylebender when he got taken down. Couldn't move his hips out from underneath the guy. And
he didn't know how to shrimp.
Didn't know how to shrimp.
Basic, something Mav knows how to do. Mav knows how to shrimp and how to
Even
prep.
I know how to do that.
Come on, Stylebender.
That's funny.
But I mean, as a martial artist, he humbled himself. He was like, okay, now there's a hole in my game that I need to fix. I'll be back. Same thing with me. When I lose in these tournaments, I see where my holes are and what I got to do to fix them for the next one. Because I don't know, I might face that same guy that beat me the first time. I got to be ready for the next time.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all you got to do. You just got to keep going. Okay, reassess. How do I fix those mistakes? All right, boom.
Yeah.
Let me fix them in training. All right, well, I'm doing this in training. And that's how the learning never ends. You know what I'm saying? They always say, oh, you don't lose in jiu-jitsu, you just learn. Yeah, you lose, you get fucking smashed. But you learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
I was fucking smashed for 7 years. Best believe I learned how to frame, strength, regard. I learned how to get those fucking 200-pound guys off me.
Yeah. Do you guys think that a striker transitioning over to grappling is a smoother transition versus a grappler transitioning over to striking?
I don't
Yes,
think so.
actually.
I
I was striker, went to jiu-jitsu. He used to jiu-jitsu going into striking. So, you know, we each have our advantages and disadvantages. Everyone has their strengths.
But somebody that's trying to go into fighting professionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like yourself, you've been grappling for years.
Yep.
Is that pretty common? Like most guys that pursue fighting come from a grappling background. Like the majority of them have longer experience grappling, or is it the
I think it's the other way around. It's usually the other way around, but now, like in the past couple of years, it's now jiu-jitsu guys wanting to transition over to MMA. But I think for an MMA guy going to jiu-jitsu, I feel like they pick on pretty quick because, I mean, they're just scrappy. I think the MMA fighters are just tough dudes. Like, if you're striking, doing all that stuff, you're a tough dude, and you spaz a lot, you move a lot. Even being a high-level black belt or purple belt, you can get caught by guys like that are not doing the same movements that your body is trained to do. They're doing completely different things. And like she said, I mean, pros and cons to making that transfer over.
How do you feel about that? Have you heard about that that fight with Jake Paul and Ben? There's going to be an exhibition. They're boxing.
Yeah, I heard about that.
How do you guys feel about that?
I think they should have picked a boxer for that match, not a wrestler.
Right, right. I always get into this argument with people. It's not even an argument. It's just I wish, because you know a lot of like how McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather.
Yep.
But it's like it's in his turf, right? It's in his game, right? So an MMA guy will go into the boxing ring, and I feel like there's more money in that world, I would assume.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it makes sense, but in reality, if Floyd was to step in the cage,
never happened.
he would just
He's
get
too smart.
destroyed.
He knows what's good for him.
He knows if him and Dana made that decision, there would probably be no ground game in that UFC octagon. It would just probably be stand up, drop him to the ground, get back up. Because, I mean, Floyd Mayweather knows that when he goes to the ground, it's going to be a wrap.
See, like obviously Floyd won, but I know that if it was a real fight, you know, Conor would whoop the shit out of Floyd Mayweather.
But look at all the restrictions Floyd Mayweather put on there.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, the fight game is a business. Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, they both got paid.
Why is he so undefeated right now? Why is he undefeated? Why has he got all the money? Because he makes the smart moves. He's not dumb.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna take a head kick if you don't have to. And you see all his boxing matches, he might take one or two, and that's all you're touching him with. I think McGregor hit him with maybe one or two clean shots. He took him moved him, and just outworked McGregor. I mean, boxing is completely different than MMA.
The thing with this Jake Paul versus Ben fight, it's like I really want to root for Ben because I just like
that's the MMA guy.
I like the MMA guy, but I feel that he just, you know, it's just not fair. It's just an unfair fight because they're playing on Jake's turf, you know, and his rules. Yeah. And Jake's not even a real boxer.
He's a YouTube boxer.
He's a YouTube boxer, but it just seems like he has been, you know, boxing. I don't want to say longer because Ben's a real fighter.
Yeah,
but
he made that transition.
He made that transition seriously.
He's not just a YouTube guy. Like he's training under guys, learning his boxing. He's not.
I'm interested to see what happens when he hits him and he sees that Ben can just take hits a lot more than the other, because he fought another YouTuber. And then he fought a basketball player,
Nate Robinson.
So this is the first time he's gonna fight a real fighter.
Someone that can take a hit.
Yeah, he takes elbows to the face, bro. He takes elbows to the face. Like,
he took a flying knee to Jorge Masvidal threw at him.
Plus, he's a wrestler, man. I feel like wrestlers are just some of the toughest motherfuckers there is.
Dude.
Oh yeah, and he's got a grip on him, or he doesn't even have to lock something up. He can just have a barely fingertips on you, and he'll slowly pull you back in. So I mean.
Which he won't be able to do any of that.
He won't be able to wrestle, so it's going to be very interesting.
But the mentality is there. The mentality of a wrestler or just a grappler, right? Like a tough ass motherfucker is just going to keep going and going. Is there, and and I really hope he wins.
I hope he wins too, because I mean he's representing the whole MMA community, and if you lose to a guy like that, even though he's not a real striker, it's gonna make us all look real bad.
Let's get him in on the mat. That'd be great, which he will never do.
He'll never do.
You just got to give him the right price.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting though. I mean, you're getting a wrestler with okay hands. Like Ben Askren's never knocked nobody out.
Mm-hmm.
He's never TKO'd anybody. He might have hit him, made a move, and then shot his double leg and finished him there. But we're gonna find out if he can take a punch too.
Yeah.
Not just Paul, but he's gonna have to take a punch, keep moving. Because I mean, even Logan Paul being the guy he is, you never know. In fighting, all it takes is that one shot, and you're seeing stars, and you're moving like Bambi on ice.
Bambi on ice. That's
I mean, I give respect to Nate Robertson for taking that fight, but you already know your lane, man. Stay in your lane. If you're not gonna take it serious, like what I'm doing, you gotta take it serious, man. Like he should have took 2 years of his life and started training for that instead of just taking it because of the name he had in basketball.
Right, for sure. Well, all right, guys, to wrap it up, man, let's finish it up with story time. You guys know, did you explain to her how this works?
No, I didn't.
No? All right, so story time, pretty much where our guest shares an interesting story that is related to what they do. So in this case, it would apply something, while you guys were training or in a match, something crazy, something funny. You guys have anything?
I mean, mine's not really funny. Nah, you go first. I need time to think.
Mine's pretty funny.
His
all right, let's hear it.
Because I already know what it is.
Story time, Jiu Jitsu edition. Let's go.
All right, so we'll go with the kids class, right? So we do our warm up, running in a circle, and then there's poop on the mat. While the kids are running, I think I noticed it, and I thought it was like a brown leaf or something that kind of flew in with the wind. And I think I told my brother to go pick it up, and when he picked it up, he smashed it, and then the smell just came right out of it.
Oh my god!
And it looked like a goat pebble, so it was hard to tell what it was. It was pretty bad. I mean, that kid never came back either, because I mean, I think he knew.
Yeah. First of all, he smashed it because he thought it was a leaf, or he just...
Well, when you go pick something up, you squish it on...
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
That was the first thing. Like, get the toilet paper, grab it, and kind of see what... It could have been an M&M. It could have been a... Who knows? But when you smash it and you smell it, you know exactly what that is. Yeah.
Man, and not to put anybody under the bus here,
I won't say any
but
names,
obviously...
but you know who you are.
How old of a kid's class we talking here?
We're talking 9 years old.
Wow.
And I don't know how that slips out of your underwear and your gi pants and just perfectly drop a pebble right there on the mat.
Well, I don't know how at that age you don't just go to the... Well, I mean, he could be one of those kids that's like...
I forgot.
I forgot. Damn, I wasn't even thinking that. I was just thinking he was one of those kids where he was like really obedient. He's like, he had to wait till there was a break or something. But yeah. I don't know. That's
maybe
crazy.
He was just very nervous.
Or he was just very sick. He
very sick too.
He had a bad
like,
chimichanga.
Hey, get your ass back in the gym. I don't care if you're sick. Get in there. Could have been a bad chimichanga or a Tina burrito. I don't recommend you eat 2 hours before training because that could happen to you too.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then for me, I mean, it happened to me once. I got thrown and I farted and I thought it was a fart and it was not a fart. I shitted myself.
Oh!
It was bad, man. It was bad. I was wearing a white gi too, so like straight to the bathroom, wiping it, changing, and getting the hell out of there.
Bro, when was this? Last year?
No, this was a long time ago. I don't think you would see me if this happened to me last year. Now, this was probably when I was like, maybe, dude, I was old too. I was probably like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Like, someone threw me real hard, landed the knee on my stomach, and just...
I hope shitting doesn't happen often. I hope that doesn't happen often. But farting on the mat seems to happen often. Like, I luckily haven't had that happen to me yet, but I've definitely walked through a dust crop, like, oh my God. This is probably gonna make people not want to train, but I'm just gonna say it's funny.
We clean the mats.
Bro, I had somebody had me in like, they were going to get me like an arm bar. Somehow I got up and they were kind of like, I don't know the name of the position, but inverted, right? Kind of like that, right? And my hand was down here. I put my hand like on their side to like pull it out, whatever, right? Dude farted in my face.
Yeah, that happens.
Straight out farted in my face. And he got up from the mat. I was like, oh. And when that happened, when that happened, he let go of my arm, right? He let go of my arm. And I put both my hands up. I was like, oh, bro.
Freeze.
I was like, bro. And then he got up. He's like, yo, my bad, dude. I'm so sorry. I had a banana. My bad.
A banana. Hey, like things like that's gonna happen. I mean, whether you're nervous or you got some air built up in there and someone throws an elbow in the right spot in the solar plex, that air is coming out.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Interesting. So every time I roll with him, I'd just be like, hey,
be careful with
just
that.
don't fart on my face, bro.
Don't let him put you in a triangle so you're going to sleep.
All right, Cece, you got anything or you going to pass?
No, I'm going to pass because all my stories are about like how I got injured. So I'm not going to tell it to the people. It's not going to make them want to come.
All right.
But I'm still training.
All right, for sure. Last minute, motivation, man. Go ahead, plug in. Let me really sell jiu-jitsu to the listeners. A couple seconds. You got this, man. Why should a guy that has never trained go sign up to the
Self-defense.
gym?
Self-defense. You could talk about sport jiu-jitsu, exhibition matches, all these beautiful, crazy things that you see in TV that you're like, wow, I want to do that flying armbar. No, self-defense. Learn how to get someone off you. Learn how to protect your neck. Learn how to not turn your back to the opponent. That's the biggest thing. I'm pretty sure many people do it. And it's like little stuff that you would think like, yeah, I can do that. They're pushing me. I'm going to push them back. But then when they're smashing you, you're like hugging them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Self-defense. You got to teach your body you got to learn how to use your body to its maximum potential. Your body is a freaking weapon. Learn how to use it like a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Learn how to break some wrists, elbows. Learn how to put people to sleep. Not for your sake, for your kid's sake,
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe for your kid too.
Yeah.
If your kid's getting bullied, hey, go teach that bully a lesson. Learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to reassess the situation and not be the bully. Maybe you can take that dude down, hold him down till the principal comes. Something. Hold him in knee on belly. Hey, that kid don't know how to get knee on belly off.
Mm-hmm.
It's little things.
I don't know if a lot of people saw that video of that MMA guy taking that football player's back in the bathroom and just...
Oh, I shared it on my Instagram with the cowboy boots on?
Yeah, with the cowboy boots. That's
Drew, did you see that when I shared it?
That's why you got to put your kids in training because, that kid was training. He had MMA experience, and then you got this football player that
Just
doesn't train, just pushed him, had his buddies behind him, try to get in his face, and...
I seen that in the
he
comments.
defended himself.
I seen in the comments that before they started recording, the football player had socked him in the nose. That's why he was bleeding.
Yeah.
He socked him, and then the guy, he just kind of casually, when you look at the video, he just kind of he just looks like he took the hit. He's kind of casual, all right, homie, I'm about to take you down now.
Oh yeah,
and then he takes him down, and it's two of them. It was two guys. It was two football players, two other guys, and then it was funny because one of the guys, the main two guys, are down. He's getting choked out, and then in the background, you see the other guy's homie get thrown across the restroom, just whack. It's just hilarious. I started cracking up. It's a funny video.
Self-defense. I think that's the biggest thing is self-defense. Everybody in this whole world needs to know how to defend themselves.
But when you guys say self-defense, coming from somebody that knows nothing about fighting, there's a lot of options. They got boxing, they got Muay Thai, the one that everybody seems to put their kids in, Taekwondo, there's karate. Why jiu-jitsu?
Most fights end on the ground.
All right, that's a good
You got to
answer.
learn how to punch or else you got to deal with the broken hand. Or you got to learn how to throw elbows. But you don't know how to do that either, right?
What happens when you break your hand on someone's face? You're gonna know how. You gotta learn how to shoot, take them to the ground, and hold them down there if you have to. Because I can tell you self-defense, respect, honor, discipline. But a lot of arts teach that too.
Mm-hmm.
But
no one's gonna teach you how to take a standing opponent down, hold them, and then maybe choke them, break them out. No one's gonna give you that option. You got options when you take someone down.
Yeah.
Choke them.
And we're probably scaring a lot of viewers. So the ones that we're scaring.
No, we're trying to empower you. Empower you with your body's capabilities. I tell my women in my women's class all the time, use your body. Use it to your advantage. Throw their elbows in their face. I say elbows in their face because we're teaching how to frame and push people away from them.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, put your hands in their face. You want to push them away.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're actually getting all that weight on you, you don't think about that. You think about hugging them.
Yeah.
And that happens every day. I guarantee you do your first day of jiu-jitsu, someone holds you down, you're going to hug them. In the streets, guess what? You're not going to be hugging them. I'm going to be grounding and pounding, if it comes to it. But
what about from a woman's perspective? They've heard about this, but they're married, they got a boyfriend. It's kind of weird and awkward at first, like, you're going to do what? You're going to go to a class and roll around with other dudes? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, what do you guys have to say about something like that?
don't sexualize it. Don't sexualize it. You're here to train. You're here to learn something. Why you got to sexualize it?
Mm-hmm. Is that a common thing in gyms where you guys got to kick certain guys out because they're doing some shady shit, or women are getting hurt, just because guys are too rough?
Yes. Oh, I've been hurt plenty of times, and I don't say that to try to scare away the women. I got injured, one, because I didn't know most of the time what I was doing, and the other person didn't know what they were doing either. So you have two people that don't really know exactly what they're doing. Injuries happen. So that's why jiu-jitsu is so cool too, because you can teach someone how to control that pressure, how to control how much excessive force isn't excessive. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So just how, like, when you pull up a gun, there's levels of escalations. Everyone could be like, yeah, I could whip up a gun. All right, cool. But you still got to follow those levels of escalation, fool,
Well, I mean, anybody coming from a striking standpoint going into jiu-jitsu, you got to humble yourself to put on that white belt, be open-minded and ready to learn. Because, I mean, the ones that do make that switch are the ones that I think go from boxing to MMA, because they end up humbling themselves, being open-minded, and going through the bumps and bruises on that journey, because it's tough. It's not easy. I mean, 15, 16 years I've been doing it.
You learn something new every day.
You learn something new every day. I mean, you try not to waste any day. Like, even if it's a frame or a shrimp, you want to try to learn something every day. Mm-hmm. And it's something you can do. I mean, it's a gentle art. You can do it tomorrow, as long as you take care of yourself and you don't get injured.
For sure. Right on. Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast. I want to give you some time to give any shout-outs you guys might have. Plug yourself.
You can follow me on Instagram, Monstar MMA. Shout out to my team where I teach out here in Victorium Athletics. We're not too far from here, so anybody in the area, come check us out. Mm-hmm. Shout out to my team, Sequence and Norco, my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, my brother, all of them for giving me the knowledge and the stuff to be able to teach and be able to help the next person coming up. Because, like, for me, this is more than jiu-jitsu. This is like trying to help people in their life. Like, I'm trying to help them be better at their job or whatever it is. Give them someone, like, a role model for their kids to look up to. Just help them, because a lot of kids don't have dads. They don't have moms. And I was in that position too. So now if I can be that leader and help them and just kind of push them in the right direction, humble them on the mat so they don't get humbled in the street. I mean, that's my goal.
Cece?
I teach women's kids, and if the men are willing to take it, then I could teach them too. But I teach Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:30 at Victor. I'm right there. Come learn from me. I'll teach you how to use your body as a weapon. I'll teach you how to empower yourself. I'm out there hyping every single one up. You already heard me for this hour, so imagine me for another hour. But yeah, man, I do offer private lessons to the women. Follow me on Instagram. Send me a DM at Gutses, Gutcees. I'm all about it, man. I'm all about helping women, people, anyone really, just learning how to get that sense of confidence. That
empowerment.
Yeah, that empowerment, that freaking fierceness when you walk around. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
And like I told you, that's something you can't get out of 24-hour fitness or
you can't walk
Planet
around
Fitness.
With all this sass. Like, this is 10 years in the making, baby. What's up?
Teaching you how to use your body, defend yourself, and the others around you, most importantly.
All right. Nice. There it is, man. Cece, Robert, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys for having us.
All right. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to catch you next time. Squad Talk.
Squad!